我哋唯有係用我哋嘅方法，就係好似我哋所講嘅私了，我哋就打返佢，話俾其他我哋所謂嘅藍絲，你再繼續搞我哋，你哋嘅下場都學似佢咁樣，都係頭破血流咁樣。
Heads broken and blood flowing. Chilling words there coming from a 15-year-old boy. Let's call him Ming. His identity is protected. In the eyes of the law, he is still a child. Yet it is angry youths like him who have turned Hong Kong into a city of violence. Why are they so angry? What are the forces that have been influencing them? What lies ahead for them and the city? Welcome to the CGTN special. I'm Liu Xin. Join me as I unravel the forces vying for Hong Kong's future.
Something spiritual, normative.
Has long been known for one of the world's freest and safest cities. It's known for its strong adherence to the rule of law. But a murder case which happened in Taiwan in February 2018 cast all of that into doubt. A Hong Kong resident was suspected of killing his girlfriend in Taiwan before fleeing home. Due to legal constraints, he could not be transferred to Taiwan for trial. In February 2019, a bill was proposed to allow the transfer of fugitives from Hong Kong to jurisdictions not covered by existing agreements. Some locals and Westerners attacked the bill as a central government measure to transfer political dissidents and erode Hong Kong's freedom. Hundreds of protests and violent activities have been staged. In June, radical protesters gathered illegally in downtown Hong Kong.
We have no intention to set a deadline.
Chief Executive Carrie Lam suspended the bill, but protests and violence continued. More demands were raised, including amnesty for all arrested protesters and the resignation of Carrie Lam. 2 weeks later, the Legislative Council building was stormed. Later in the month, in the largest seizures of its kind, police discovered a stash of powerful homemade explosives, petrol bombs, and corrosive liquid. The Hong Kong airport was paralyzed for days. The bill was formally withdrawn on September the 4th, but violence escalated. Rioters vandalized public facilities, ransacked businesses, and attacked police and ordinary people with opposing views. Protesters, including rioters, also occupied Hong Kong Polytechnic University in a violent standoff with police. By mid-December, 6,105 people were arrested, among whom nearly 40% were students, 1/3 were minors. Like Ming, countless of his generation grew up in Asia's international city, an epicenter of globalization. Despite the city's affluence, they feel frustrated, dissatisfied, and unhappy. Livelihood issues have long plagued Hong Kong. Wealth disparity is wide. Housing price is among the highest in the world. However, 15-year-old Ming didn't complain about bread and butter issues. He claims to be a warrior, or radical protesters who advocate violence in social movements. And he's not alone. Many as young as Ming found themselves embroiled in this movement.
你不担心被捕吗？
一定擔心的。但是如果我哋贏唔到呢一場運動，香港繼續係一路係冇民主自由，冇晒香港嘅核心價值之後，可能我哋我哋而家仲我哋揾工作之後，其實都可能冇乜用啦已經。
Under British colonial rule, Hong Kong people had no say about the city's governance. They had few political rights in general. Since Hong Kong's handover to Chinese rule under the One Country, Two Systems framework, a democratic system has been established in the election of chief executive and legislators to protect the basic rights and freedoms of Hong Kong residents according to the law. In 2019, Hong Kong ranked third globally on the Human Freedom Index compiled by Canada's Fraser Institute. Its justice system was ranked 16th out of 126 economies according to the World Justice Project. John Maguire has lived in Hong Kong for 28 years.
In Hong Kong, under the British, there was no democracy. They only introduced it very late in the day before the handover. I think Hong Kong has got more democracy today than it's ever had in the past. For sure, when people look back to the British rule and as some sort of glory period, I think that's wrong.
The British ruled Hong Kong for slightly over 150 years, and they never allowed the election of the governor once, not in any form at all. Right. Now you have the election of the governor. Now, when Britain ran it, there was no election of the governor at all. This is complete hypocrisy.
Ming and his peers clearly disagree. They believe that for the sake of democracy and freedom, violence is acceptable. Though their numbers are small, their involvement at such a young age has prompted concerns about the future of Hong Kong. How have they formed such radical views?
You think you're a Chinese?
我是中国的香港人，我是香港人。
你们学校升中國國旗嗎？
呢樣嘢一定係要㗎啦，因為係教育局嘅規定。
會唱中國國歌嗎？
會嘅。
During the unrest, Chinese national symbols were desecrated time and again. A 13-year-old girl was sentenced to a 12-month probation for burning a Chinese national flag. The liaison office of the Central People's Government in Hong Kong was also violently targeted. Ming's fellow radical protesters had no qualms about desecrating national symbols. Clearly, they have strong political views against their country. As a mother of teenage children, I wonder what could have driven them into the storm of politics instead of the sea of knowledge. I first went to this bookstore specializing in textbooks. I asked for some of the most popular versions used by middle schools in teaching Chinese history and liberal education. I noticed that China's development has largely been overlooked, even belittled. This part says that on average, Chinese people 15 years and older receive only some 8 years of schooling. That's 100 years behind the United States, it says. It totally ignored the stark reality that when the People's Republic was founded in 1949, 80% of the population were illiterate. This is a textbook about the 70 years since the People's Republic of China was founded. It mainly examines this period of history through a political lens. What strikes me the most is that out of the 250 pages, only 4 pages were dedicated to the achievements of the most recent 4 decades of reform and opening up. I visited Hyongto Secondary School, one of the oldest local public schools. Principal Tang Fei highlighted the lack of standardization in educating students about China.
你自己来决定要教什么东西，那造成学生对国情或者对历史文化的了解是碎片的东西，不成系统的。
According to Tang Fei, another key problem is the way exam papers are set, which sensitizes students to the strident political issues of the day. For example, this cartoon shows a protester being carried away by police. And students are asked to explain the advantages of the political demand the protester is fighting for.
So many teachers prefer opposition argument rather than the establishment argument. It is a reality. It is a political reality in Hong Kong society. So the opposition argument, especially extreme argument, so-called justice by law breaking, transfer air-free students.
Ironically, justice by law breaking was a concept raised by law scholar Benny Tai, a co-founder of the Occupy Central movement in 2014. That movement paralyzed parts of the city for 79 days. Benny Tai called on citizens to break the law in order to achieve so-called justice. In April 2019, he was convicted and sentenced for inciting public nuisance and inciting others to cause public nuisance. Benny Tai was an active contributor to educational materials used in the city.
Young students get used to such a extreme argument and transform the argument into concrete activities.
Maria Tam Wai Chu is a veteran Hong Kong lawyer.
At that young age, they don't have to worry about bread and butter. Your dinner's on the table. So you're looking for a role, a place that you can feel, this is me, and I'm important. And then somebody come and tell you that, oh, you can fight for justice. Never mind the law, never mind the police, never mind the fact that certain things will be broken. That is a real temptation.
In August, Assistant School Principal Alvin Tai said on social media he wished that the children of policemen who have used excessive force will die before 7 years old or die an unnatural death before 20 years old should they already be 7 or older. What role have such teachers played? The Hong Kong Professional Teachers Union is the largest local teachers association. On August the 17th, the union called on teachers to demonstrate while wearing black in the name of protecting the next generation. Ip Kin Yun, the union's vice president, called on teachers to forcibly express their aspirations. Are you, as an educator, not willing to say, I denounce the use of violence? It's okay if you use peaceful means, but you're not willing to say, I denounce violence.
I oppose violence. I oppose violence by any people, the young people. But the situation is, I should say, police violence. We should also include police violence here.
Ip appears not to be taking sides, not calling on the students to boycott classes, but not actively asking them to go back to school. That's similar to some people's attitude towards violence, not supporting it, but not denouncing it actively either. How are the children supposed to make their own judgment?
你平常看什么新闻？
苹果。
手机上看什么？上什么网站？
苹果。
苹果。
香港01，香港02，很多很多。
Like most young people in Hong Kong, Ming is an avid Apple Daily fan. Founded in 1994 by the Hong Kong tycoon Jimmy Lai, this newspaper is well known for its anti-establishment views and quite strong impact. But I was told its influence is felt mostly here. Jimmy Lai is considered by many as the most outspoken anti-government, even anti-China figure in Hong Kong.
Which is fighting the same war you have with China.
His Apple Daily is among the most influential media in the city. It has 2.7 million followers on Facebook. The Daily is believed to have played a key role in instigating the whole protest. One day after the fugitive bill was gazetted, Apple Daily called the bill an ordinance that required one to be deported to China. Using impactful visuals, the Daily disseminated fear that under the bill, the mainland's judicial system will be applied to Hong Kong and that no one will be safe. It glossed over the scope of the bill and its explicit purpose of tackling crime. The bill was quickly demonized.
The messages cannot go through. Even if they have reasons, nobody heard them properly and nobody believed it properly. So the media that is anti-government has actually filled all the airspace in Hong Kong.
Yet another target, the police. In the 2018 police reliability ranking published by the World Economic Forum, Hong Kong police ranked 8th among 137 economies in the world. But on Apple Daily and on social media, the Hong Kong police are customarily described as an evil force of brutality. Private information of police officers and their family members have been exposed online, threatening their personal safety.
Compared to what we see in the United States, in the reaction to the Occupy movement and the reaction to some of the protests against pipelines and oil and gas infrastructure, in comparison, Hong Kong was quite restrained.
I visited the Hong Kong police headquarters. Alex was cut with a blade in the neck while on duty in October. The suspect was reported to be an 18-year-old.
當我哋準備離開嘅時候咧，咁我就當時我發覺我嘅右邊頸咧，俾人拱咗一下個感覺，咁我擰翻去右後面啦，我就見到襲擊我嘅人咧，就手持一個武器，隻右手咧就向後縮，佢淨係講到我靜脈同埋一個迷走神經係斷咗。
Have you ever wondered why this person attacked you from behind because you didn't do anything to him at that moment?
香港裏面有一部分人呢，係完全冇自己獨立嘅思維，佢哋被其他嘅人士去影響，去做呢啲咁激進嘅行為。
Alex's wife told me she's depressed by the overwhelming negativity portrayed on the media against the police.
睇咗自己會好唔開心，個人呢好似覺得自己係俾人孤立嘅一群咁樣咯，都唔想俾小朋友睇到呢啲咁嘅新聞。
Apple Daily reported on Alex's injury, but as part of a series called The Fight Against Brutality. Police are not the only ones being targeted. Ordinary people have also been attacked, including Chinese mainlanders and local residents. However, key figures behind the protest have refrained from publicly denouncing such violence. They believe that's the only way for their voices, including political demands, to be heeded.
When I saw the kids went into front and confront the police, I was very touched. I admire them.
Liu Xin is Emeritus Professor of Sociology at the Chinese University of Hong Kong.
他们这种政治野心的话呢，他就不断的就推动这些年轻人出来呢，来争取一些所谓这个公投拒绝啊、独立啊，多种各样的分离主义这种主张。这种主张呢，落在年轻人的身上呢。 特别是他们对国家民族没有什么感情，也没有什么认识，很容易出来变成把这人当成是一个旧港的意识，这种情绪再加上那些反对派跟一些反对派的媒体呢，把他们捧为英雄，要产生一种英雄主义。
This sense of heroism is reinforced by the extraordinary amount of reports on Western media. US media watchdog FAIR published a study in December of reporting by New York Times and CNN of 4 major protest movements around the world: Hong Kong, Ecuador, Haiti, and Chile. It found that protesters in Hong Kong are always referred to as pro-democracy protesters or activists even after violence flared.
Well, I think it is not where you are, but what is the cause of the protest? If the cause of the protest is for a cause that is in alignment with a United States interest, then those protesters, no matter how violent they are, they will be called peaceful demonstrators and freedom fighters.
我想问你，你如果买那些面具啊，买那些防毒的那些面罩啊，或者头盔啊这些东西，你要花很多钱吗？
一定要的，就是。
你哪里来那么多钱？你要花多少錢？
有一啲嘅裝備其實係可能係人哋捐俾我啦，其他一啲嘅香港市民就可能俾咗錢落一間鋪頭嗰度就我俾咗好多錢落嗰一間某一間嘅鋪頭裏邊，就可能就如果見到你後生仔過去攞嘅時候，就可能過去買嘅時候就可能就會免費送俾我哋咯。
In the minds of many, the protest movement has clearly received more than just public donations. Former Hong Kong Court of Final Appeal Judge Henry Litton said in a November interview on Hong Kong media,
"It would surprise me if at least those frontline, they call themselves warriors or whatever you like to call them, are not paid. Because how do they sustain this? Not only paid, but I suspect if that were so, heavily paid to enable them to actually go out and risk time and time again."
Personally, I see this as part of the trade war. I think that the protesters have got their concerns, but I think that that has been fueled and paid for by American money.
The National Endowment for Democracy is an American NGO. A search on its website revealed that it has been funding Hong Kong organizations in the name of strengthening democracy and human rights protection. And this may just be the tip of the iceberg. Michael Pillsbury, a former senior US official, spoke of American involvement in Hong Kong in a 2014 interview.
We have a large consulate there that's in charge with taking care of the Hong Kong Policy Act passed by Congress to ensure democracy in Hong Kong. We also have funded millions of dollars of programs through the National Endowment for Democracy to help democracy in Hong Kong. So in that sense, the Chinese accusation is not totally false.
Local figures have been closely interacting with foreign politicians and entities for years and often out in the open.
Ta Kung Pao reported that key opposition figures here smoothing with a representative of the National Democratic Institute, an American NGO that has been sanctioned by China for interfering in Hong Kong affairs. And one of the foreign participants was reported to have been overheard to say, now it is not the time to change the direction of the street movement. Jimmy Lai was also mentioned here. So far, nobody has come out to refute the report.
For years, these figures have been soliciting, even requesting US's interference. Martin Lee, founder of the Hong Kong Democratic Party, said the US government has a moral obligation to speak justly for the people of Hong Kong. US politicians have hardly been restrained in their reactions. US Vice President Mike Pence said in October,
"We stand with you. We are inspired by you."
His message was amplified time and again on Apple Daily, greatly emboldening the protesters. In November 2019, Washington passed the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act. The act requires Washington to monitor Beijing's action in Hong Kong. It authorizes sanctions on persons undermining fundamental freedoms and autonomy in Hong Kong. The act even allows visas to be granted to protesters who've been arrested. Apple Daily immediately hailed the act as won through blood and tears.
The other is that the United States politicians want to encourage or empower the Hong Kong's protesters, particularly those who are violent, to sustain the turmoil in Hong Kong so as to make Hong Kong into a pawn against China, to weaken Hong Kong's economic value to China, and to use Hong Kong in the long run as a factor to contain China's rise.
What does all this mean for young people such as Ming?
It's purely a matter of one group of more mature criminals making use of the youngsters because of their enthusiasm, because of their purity of thought, to become their political tool. And the ultimate idea is for these mature politicians to take over from the existing Hong Kong government. Hong Kong is so close to China. If Hong Kong becomes a government which ideology is totally against one country and only work for two systems, of which is only the capitalistic system part, then it will affect the rest of China. So this is the way I look at this, what I call color revolution.
On November the 24th, 2019, Hong Kong held the 6th District Council elections, the lowest level local elections. 5 months into the unrest, the elections, which should have focused on livelihood issues, turned out to be heavily politicized. A host of opposition candidates who condoned violence have been elected. They won the great majority of the 452 seats up for grabs, or 57% of the votes. 40% of the votes went to the pro-government camp, who campaigned on the message of no violence. Do you think the election results reflected the opinion of the people?
Young people.
Young people.
Only the young?
Only young.
This girl can't
only talking about politics.
So we're very sad. Very sad because we can't help him.
We can do nothing.
This election.
The city's economy has taken a heavy toll. Visitor numbers dropped by almost half. The economy was plunged into a technical recession, the first time in over a decade. As I bid farewell to Ming, I asked him to take care of himself and his city. But what awaits him next? Calls have been made on the young people to secure the next Legislative Council elections in September 2020. What further chaos, even violence, lies ahead for this beautiful city? Right before Christmas, as I was about to leave, I found myself on the sidelines of a protest.
Another protest right outside the City Hall, where protesters are waving American flags and riot police are standing by. It seems this kind of scene will continue to feature here for the foreseeable future. At the end of my interview with Ming, he told me, "See you on the site of another protest." Well, I hope he was only joking, because his future must not be a joke. Neither can be that of Hong Kong.